Good morning, welcome back to my channel. It's Sunday the 16th of March 2025 and it's about 9:15. Right, what's for the basket? Well, this week something really simple. Bovril stock cubes. There's 12 in the box. I've seen Claire use these on her channel and I always used to like Bovril. You know, if you went to a football match you could have a drink of Bovril at half time. I remember going to see Georgie Best play in the 60s. And I'm not a fan of OXO cubes, but these, as a drink, which is free on plan, I really like. When I was cooking yesterday, I decided to put one in a dish I was making. And I was using turkey mince, 2% fat. I was using loads of mushrooms thinly sliced. I used 15 sprays of olive oil, 1.5 sins. I used a jar of Mr. Organic tomato sauce with capers and olives, which I love. And then I decided in my wisdom to put one of these in to give it a bit more flavour. I'm watching Claire, she's going in with this, she's going in with this, and all that flavour. And I'm thinking, wow, all that flavour in your food doesn't need to be bland, does it? So I put one of these in and I dissolved it in water. I put in some cumin, some white pepper, which I love because it really brings out the flavour in your food, and some garlic. And then after I'd cooked it for a while as a sort of casserole stewy thing, I added about 180 grams of macaroni to cook in it and take some of the fluid out of it. And I have to say it was delicious, but probably a little bit too salty for me. I ate it and I really enjoyed it, but thinking about it afterwards, putting this in, which has salt, and then already having got capers, which are salty, in the sauce, was probably a fraction too much for me. But I had quite a big bowl of it last night, and the half that was left I've split into 2 portions and frozen, and I shall serve it with lots of green vegetables the next 2 times I eat it. Because at the moment I've got a passion for kale. And one of the ways I'm using it, you know, I might be teaching my grandma to suck eggs, but I'm not the world's best cook and I don't enjoy cooking that much, although I can do it. What I've been doing, you know, because I like the Slimming World meals, the convenience of them and the variety of them, and because I'm only ever cooking for one person, not 2 people, one person, I turn my Slimming World meals out of the plastic. I've said this before, I don't cook them in plastic, it's not healthy. So I've got Pyrex bowls with Tupperware lids. I put my kale, fresh, not frozen, fresh kale, in the bottom of my bowl. I turn my Slimming World meal out onto the top of it. I put my lid loosely on top and I add about 3 or 4 minutes to the cooking time. And then every time it's coming out perfect. The kale is cooked to perfection, the meal is done, and I've added a load of speed without any extra effort, any washing up, any faffing around. I do it with frozen cauliflower rice too. I do it with tin green beans. Just anything where I can get speed into my meal. Because the Slimming World meals are great and they do profess to have speed in them, but it's not a lot. And I don't think for me it's enough speed. I need to add speed. Speed makes a difference to my plans. So kale, that sort of things. This week I bought myself a small white cabbage. I'm trying to add more green into my food. I don't really like broccoli. It's not something I would choose to eat. I don't like any of the broccolis, the tender stems, what's that black stuff called? Calvo Nero. I don't like any of them. I'm just, no, not to my taste. I don't eat carrots unless it's grated, fresh, raw and grated. We all have our likes and dislikes. I love onion. I could put onion with anything. So I'm trying to up the speed because it's important for me to have a 1/3 speed on my plate. It's also important for me to have a 1/3 of carbs on my plate. I cannot do low carb. I cannot do SP. Because if I go SP, I'm starving hungry. And I really, honestly, genuinely believe if you do SP and you have a good weight loss that week, what you've lost is water. And that's great. If you're going on holiday and you want to get into your swimsuit or your bikini or your shorts or your tighter t-shirts, or the summer's coming and you've got a wedding or something, if you want to do SP for a week and shed, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 pounds, whatever, just to get a result for an occasion, I think SP works beautifully. But I remember, and I don't know if it's still in the books, but when SP first started, it was 1 week only. It was never recommended to be the Slimming World diet. And I know some people enjoy it, and some people can live on a ham salad, but I can't. If I don't eat carbs, I don't have enough energy. And I used to be terrified of them, and today I'm not. Because what I realise is the carbohydrates in my life help to keep me hydrated. That's why they're called carbohydrates and not carbo lose weights. They're important for me, for the way I live today. I need energy, you know? I need to be able to get out and walk. I need to be able to clean my house. I need to have enthusiasm and not be sitting around thinking I'm knackered, which is how I used to be when I used to try and keep the carbs to a minimum. When I look at what pasta is made of, you know, there's not a lot in there to fear. When I look at rice, when I look at quinoa, which I love quinoa, or quinoa as my mum calls it, I love it. I have it most days in some form, usually in my lunch. Why would I fear those things? When I look at what Joe's taught me over the years, you know, our meals, our food that we eat is generally made up of fat, protein and carbohydrates. Fat has 9 calories per gram, protein has 4 calories per gram, carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram. Slimming World is designed in such a way that it is a low fat diet. So if I want to include fat in my plan, I sin it. Like I've talked before about, you know, if I start off a curry, starting it off with ghee, which is 11 sins for a tablespoon. Start it off with olive oil if you're making a pasta dish, 6 sins per tablespoon, 2 sins per teaspoon. Those sort of things, to get some fat into a meal, because I think it adds so much flavour. I cannot go like totally fat-free 7 days a week. I dry up like an old prune. But it's important for me today, if I'm doing the Slimming World plan, which is a synergy of all the foods we eat and our sins, our healthy extras, our free foods, our speed foods, it's important for me to do the whole thing, not just pick the bits that Jane likes best and do the Jane version of Slimming World, which if Margaret Miles Bramwell had wanted it to be that way, she just said, do it yourself, which is what a lot of us have done over the years. And in the long term, doing it myself never worked. But if I follow the book and I include those things, it works. So if I want to make a sort of casserole type dish, I'll often add a little bit more liquid so it's looser, and then I throw my pasta into the dish. And my favourite pasta is macaroni. I love macaroni. And it's cheap. I mean, I buy my macaroni in Waitrose and it's still only 95p for a 500 gram bag. Cheap as chips, or cheaper. And when there was a period of doing Slimming World from 2015 with Naomi, and I got down to my 8 stone 8 target eventually, all of that period basically was me being afraid of carbohydrates. I ate them, but the 2 days before I got weighed, I was really conscious of, oh my God, carbohydrates, carbohydrates. And now I look at it and I laugh at myself, because what the hell was I scared of? I can understand now, looking back, why I often had no energy and no enthusiasm. Because carbohydrates are what gives me energy. And if they give me energy, the likelihood is they'll give you energy too. This is not just, you know, I'm talking about Slimming World and the way it's made up. You can have fat, you sin it. So you can have your avocado, you can have your olive oil, you can have butter on a slice of toast if that's what you want to spend your sins on. But the basic plan is low fat, high carbs. There are carbs in everything. I was asking Joe about this, I think it was yesterday when we were walking by the river. What are carbs in? And I'm going to ask him again and put him on the spot. Joe, what are carbs in?
Vegetables, any sort of grain, beans. Basically anything that you've got, like lean protein, and you've got fat, and then everything else has some proportion of carbs in it. And some things are a mix, like beans, but they're still a decent, beans or lentils, but they're still like a decent percentage of protein, carbohydrate in those.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I think I mentioned it in last week's thing when we're talking about protein in beans and lentils and things. And some of them have only got like 21% protein. So the other 79% has got to be carbs, because no fat in beans, is there? So even if your plan is vegan, and I've done this plan as a vegan, I've done this plan as a vegetarian. I was a vegetarian for donkey's years, and I like being a vegetarian. I would say 50% of my plan now is vegetarian. You've got to eat carbs. You know, you've just got to. You can't avoid them altogether because you cannot just live on lean protein.
I think the bottom line is you have to eat something, and if you're not eating fat on Slimming World, well, you're not eating an abundance of fat, you've got to eat carbs instead. You can't live on protein, it just doesn't work like that. It's not really used as an energy source.
No, I mean, I'm not a big egg eater, but I do know that when I have an egg, it's the yolk I like. I'm not such a fan of the whites. We don't tend to have a lot of eggs in the house. But an egg, I think, is like 50% fat, 50% protein. It's one of the most well-balanced things you can eat. But I know when I eat an egg, I'll often leave the white and just eat the yolks. I'd rather have 4 egg yolks and know I've had some fat in it. I'm not a big fan of egg whites. I remember years ago, you know, one of my dieting friends saying to me, why don't you buy a carton of egg whites and do what they do in America? Make an egg white omelette. Jesus, that was what. Why? I tried it, disgusting. Some people love egg whites, and I get that, but that's not me. I'd like scrambled egg if it was 2 whole eggs and a couple of extra yolks, because I need the fat from it, and that's still free on plan. I can do that. But I know that I cannot go lean everything. And another thing, and it took me years to learn this, so I'd look at chicken, and I don't eat a lot of chicken, although I do like the Iceland skewers, the chicken breast skewers. But I look at chicken and think, well, that piece of chicken, breast or whatever, which is dry and tasteless, weighs 150 grams. That's 150 grams of protein. It's not. Do you know off the top of your head, Joe, roughly how much protein that would be?
In what?
In 150 grams of chicken breast.
Probably about 40, 45.
Yeah, so 150 grams of chicken breast is not 150 grams of protein. It's about 40, 45 grams of protein. Now, I don't know how much protein I need ideally in a day. I'm probably below what I really truly need. But these things are all worth reading up on. If you're interested in having a healthy, optimised, balanced diet, feeling full, feeling satisfied, feeling satiated for longer, they're worth reading up on because it is fascinating stuff. But I do know categorically that the Slimming World plan means ideally, optimally, we should be eating 1/3 of our plate as carbs. And I tell you why I know that, because I've done it and it works. I find it works so much better because once you've lost that initial water weight, if you're fortunate enough to be a person who has that gush of water weight loss, which I never do, I think because I just don't. I don't know if it's the way I'm made up. I don't retain a lot of fluid, so I don't lose a lot of fluid. But once you've had that lovely, when people come and join group, you know what a new week for somebody's like. Some people will come back with a 4 or 5 pound weight loss, and they're like, wow, this plan works. Well, yeah, it does, and that gets you off to a good start. And I think Slimming World actually use that to highlight it works. But the truth is, you've lost 3-4 pounds of water. keep going, and then the people come back the following week with £1 off or £1.50 off, and they're disappointed because they expect to lose £3, £4, £5 every week, and I just don't think that's real, you know. So if you want to work this plan, if you want to optimise your food from day one, do what the book says: a third, a third, a third. And it's important: third protein, third carbs, third free food. And the more of that free food that is speed, the better. You know, some fruits and veggies are only free. I say only free, that we can eat as much as we like of them. So like your potatoes are free, your cabbage is speed, your broccoli is speed. But a third of your plate of each gives you a much better continuous weight loss than if you're just going to make a ham salad. And
See, I'm going to interject. I don't think it's the more speed you eat, the better.
Well, the more speed you eat, the more full you are.
I think the best way to do it is through consistency, and you're already changing what you're eating, so you might as well eat plenty of the nice stuff that you can eat on Slimming World, rather than thinking, oh, I've got to really load up on stuff that I'm not that keen on.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But that's why I always say I only eat the vegetables I really, really like.
Yeah.
I wouldn't eat cabbage for the sake of eating cabbage because it was speed if I didn't like it. That's why I don't eat broccoli.
That's what I don't want people to hear wrongly. I don't want it to be like, oh, I've got to eat a load of spinach. Like, I hate spinach and it really disagrees with my stomach. But if I had to eat like a load of greens over, if I felt that I had to eat a load of greens over rice or pasta or something like that to lose more weight, I think it
spoils your day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather play the slow game and just lose £0.5 a week eating plenty of free food rather than having to eat a load of speed food that I'm not really that keen on, just to lose £1 a week instead.
But this is why I've said so many times on my channel, I never, never, never eat salad. Because to me, salad is just a plate full of glorified flavoured water. That's all it is. And if you really, really enjoy it, good, eat it. But if you really, really don't, think about it logically. How long are you going to how long would I last on this plan if I had to eat salad every day? I wouldn't last a day. The only way I've ever been able to eat salad is by smothering it in mayonnaise or Heinz salad cream. That defeats the object. But I know the vegetables I love. I know the ones I'll eat. And I buy those and I eat them. And, you know, in our house, Joe would eat broccoli or Brussels till it came out of his ears. I don't mind Brussels sprouts, I prefer Brussels tops. But you'll never catch me eating broccoli. I just don't like it. And I think it's really vital. Find what you love and you'll stick with it. Make yourself eat something you don't enjoy just because it's speed, and that was a good point you made, Joe. You won't stick with it. Because as soon as it gets hard, or your life changes in some way, or a crisis happens or whatever, you'll be looking for a reason to come off the plan because you're not really enjoying it. This week my word of affirmation is refresh. And we've had a good week of making a few changes. Starting on Monday we had joiner and a plumber in, and I've been making some changes to my kitchen. I had a new kitchen 10 years ago. We went on holiday while they did it. When we came back, I was a bit taken aback because I hadn't quite done what I really wanted, and I'd lost a worktop, and my sink was a bit too far to the right. But you know me. Well, no, you don't know me. I'm mouthy usually, and I'm outspoken, but the guy who did it was quite handsome, and I didn't want to upset him. We've become friends over the years. I didn't want to upset him. But for 10 years I've lived with this area where my kitchen sink is, and I didn't like it. So if you can visualise it, I've got a single cupboard where my sink is set in, and then on the left I've got a washer, and on the right I've got a tumble dryer. And above where the washer was supposed to be a wall-mounted cupboard with the new boiler in. And the cupboard came right down and took out like 3 feet of worktop. And I like space, and I like empty spaces, clear spaces. So for 10 years I've lived with this, and then all of a sudden, when we found the new joiner who recently changed all my doors, I said, I'm going to change my kitchen, and I'm going to put it to how I wanted it in the first place. So this week we've had a really nice joiner in Julian and a plumber, Christopher, or Chris, and we've had the kitchen changed to exactly what I wanted. So I've had a new sink and draining board, I've had new taps, I've had this cupboard taken out and made into a wall cupboard, I've had new worktops, and just changed every little detail in the kitchen that brought it up to the spec that I wanted. So consequently, Monday to Thursday, my kitchen was pretty much out of order all day. Now, you know me, when I was on the plan before, even if it had been under Naomi, who was amazing, any excuse not to do it would have been valid. And I'd have said, can't eat properly for 4 days, can't stick to plan for 4 days because, I'm going to have to go and get takeaways, or I'm going to have to, not eat at lunchtime because they're all, they're working in the kitchen, and what can I do? And, I'll just have some sandwiches from Marks and Spencer's or whatever. Any excuse. I am so absolutely grateful I don't need to do that today. So we just planned around it, and it got takeaway food that was on plan, so quinoa salads and different things, and extra fruit, and stuck to plans, stuck to sins, stuck to my healthy extras, I'm on the creaky floorboard again, stuck to all the things I should have been planning to have on my plan, stuck to my 2A choices, stuck to my B choice, and did the 4 full days without even batting an eyelid or thinking about it. And not once did I try to come up with an excuse to come off plan. Because the danger for me is when I come off plan, it can take me weeks to get back. I can't just do I'm coming off plan because I'm going out for a meal, it's somebody's birthday. I can't come up with I'm just going to come off plan for the day because I'm going to my mum's, so there's an excuse to stop at Costa and have cake and whatever drink I want on the way there and on the way back, and God, I need to eat chocolate because I've got to go for a 150-mile round trip, and all those stupid things I used to do. I just can't do it. Because when I came off plan when my friend was sick, okay, it was during COVID, but I'm not blaming COVID. I never had COVID. I came off plan for the best part of 2 years before I could get back on it. I came off plan and gained over 6 stone before I could get back on it. I just don't want to do that anymore. The frustration, the annoyance, the aggro, the physical pain of doing that, it is not worth it for me. So even having the guys in for 4 days would have been like, I'd have been celebrating it beforehand. Boo-hoo! I've got 4 days, I can eat exactly what I want and do exactly as I please. That never entered my head this time. So I've refreshed my kitchen. I did all the bottom cupboards out and washed them all out and put everything back. And then yesterday, Joe did all the top cupboards for me. And I've got 28 shelves in my cupboard, but they've all been cleared out, washed off, sorted out. Anything that was not what we needed, given away. We even found two things out of date in our cupboards, didn't we? 2 bags of porridge that were out of date, which is not like us. We're usually pretty good at that sort of thing. And my kitchen is totally refreshed, and I just feel like a fresh start and more of want, shall we say, to actually be in the kitchen and be cooking, and more of a reason to actually focus on having good food and enjoying it. More of a reason to stick to plan, go to group, lose weight. All of that stuff, it's all kind of come together. And I feel like I've got a kitchen which is what I wanted 10 years ago. I've got a kitchen which is spotlessly clean and spring cleaned, and I know where everything is now, and I can put my hands on anything I want. And I feel lighter and brighter and better for it, because I let those sort of things play on my mind and weigh me down. Refreshing or refresh, which is my £9 word for the week, and that's £9 has gone into my Salvation Army toy appeal pot. But it's a good thing for me to keep looking at the way I work the plan and to keep refreshing the bits that aren't serving me well. Now at the moment my B choice every day is 2 peanut hi-fi bars because I love peanuts.
Sorry, you're at 25 minutes.
Right. That might change, you know? Got to be prepared to change, but I'm going to have to go because my camera's going to run out. I lost 2.5 pounds this week, which is why I'm doing this. I'm pleased with that because that has me at £3 over the month, so we'll see you next week. Cheers.